guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy. He is in his 60s. He's been happily married for like 30-some years, good life and all that. He's been watching the channel since 2022, and he's writing in to ask a question to share a story from like 40 years ago when he was in his early 20s, addressing the bro code. He wants to know, again, if he may have crossed the line, not really understanding the big picture of the bro code back then, and wanted to hear about it, hear from me, hear from you, and share his story. And that'd be a great one to go over here, really making the point of the bro code. Now, real quick, what is the bro code? Well, there's a lot of things that could go under the bro code of Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother. He wrote a whole book about it. I even bought it once as a gag gift for one of my friends. But narrowing it down to men and women, the bro code when it comes to guys and gals essentially is this, is that you do not date, hook up with, or get involved with in any way, a former girlfriend or wife of one of your buddies. No way. That also means a gal that maybe he dated and it didn't work out, or a gal that he really liked and she rejected him. Nope. I don't care how beautiful she is, how much of a connection you have with her. There's a whole planet full of women. Don't go there. Ever. It's not worth ruining a good friendship over a girl. And the odds are it's not going to work out. And another important thing is, the only way it's okay is if your buddy gives you the clearance. He says, it's okay, we parted ways amicably, no hard feelings. She's cool, just didn't work out between us, and he gives you his blessing. Then it's okay. But even then, I'd consider not doing it anyway, because why? Things could be a problem down the road. Well, in the story here, this guy you're going to see 40-some years ago, there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't me, there wasn't all that stuff. He made some mistakes, but he's genuinely curious, and so I'm going to use this as an opportunity to help guys understand that. And this story is also going to show you how women will put guys on layaway and use them as a placeholder while they're trying to figure things out. And you'll see more about that in a moment. So he says here, Dear SSM, I'm a semi-long listener to your channel since about 2022. I wish your advice had been available back in the 1980s, but somehow I managed to survive. Today I'm in my 60s and happily married for 30-plus years to a 95% unicorn, or SSM on the SSM unicorn scale. Well, bro, I'm glad you've had a good 30-year marriage. Happy life. I appreciate you watching the channel. My question for you deals with a situation I was part of back in the mid-1980s when I was in my 20s. The names here are obviously changed, as some of the details are left deliberately vague to hopefully prevent my friends from that time from recognizing themselves in case you choose to use this in a video. Well, to recap, I had a friend I will call Sam who, like me, was majoring in the same technical field in college. I was a year ahead of him. Upon completing my studies, went to work in that field in the big city. A year later, Sam came to the same big city to attend graduate school at a large university in the same city. He stayed with me for a few weeks until he got his own place close to campus. At the time, I was not a Christian. I am now, but Sam was, and so he went to a local church the first Sunday he was there. When he returned several hours later, he was almost walking on air as he told me that he met the most amazing girl of his dreams. Well, it must have been quite a church service. I will call her Sharon. Sharon was from the same state as Sam, and like Sam, had just moved to the city right after graduating from college. And oh yes, Sharon was a nurse. They're always a nurse in these stories, or a teacher, or a flight attendant. He says, please note, SSM, that Sharon is a devout Christian, so be kind in your initial assessment. Hey, don't blame me for my assessment of the nurses. It's look, it is what it is. I can't tell you how many stories I've covered here about them. Doesn't mean they're all like that, but a hell of a lot are in the medical field. I'm going to hope Sharon wasn't that way. For the next 3 weeks, Sam spent every waking moment with Sharon as much as their schedules allowed. Smack! That's the worst thing to do. Does he have a life outside Sharon? That's just going to tell her she put her on the pedestal. That's what he's doing. You know what happens to guys that do that. Then 3 weeks after Sam met Sharon, he came back looking very dejected and clearly brokenhearted. Well, clearly it didn't work out. He should have been obsessing with her. To explain why, I need to provide some background on Sharon. She's a nurse. Sharon came from a large family in a typical small Midwestern town and attended the nearest state university. While she was a student, she had a boyfriend I will call Jack, who was about 6'4", 200 pounds solid. Think a young Brad Pitt. Jack was not a college student, but worked construction in this state university town. When Sharon was about to graduate, she told Jack that she was moving to the big city in another state. Jack said that if she moved there, then he would break up with her. Sharon said that she was moving, and thus they effectively broke up. Fast forward to Sam returning with a broken heart. Well, good for Jack for standing his ground. Not going to do a long-distance relationship. He doesn't want to move, you know? And obviously, Sharon doesn't care too much about him by saying, I'm going, whether you like it or not. You know? That ain't love. Well, it seems Jack was bluffing about the breaking up with Sharon. He assumed that she would not move and was generally surprised when she did. So what was a lonely Jack to do but move to the big city to be with her again, which he did without warning? Well, smack the Jack. That is not good, because now Sharon has all the power over Jack. Sharon was shocked by his sudden arrival, but she was willing to try and make the relationship work. This meant that Jack moved in with Sharon, and Sharon broke the news to Sam that she was no longer a free woman. Well, there you go. Now, that could have happened whether Sam was spending 3 weeks with her or not, every waking moment, but I'm going to bet you if Sam was much more aloof and different with her, maybe her attraction would be more towards him, you know? But there was no challenge or anything interesting with Sam. Shortly thereafter, Sam moved into a small house with another student that was about 3 blocks from campus. And surprisingly, a week later, Sam got himself a new girlfriend, whom I will call Laura. Well, that didn't take long. She was a grad student at another university in the same city. Sam liked Laura, and Laura loved Sam. Sam was still in love with Sharon, and I think Laura was a placeholder just in case Sharon was available again. You're darn right she was. See, guys do this too. You know, you can feel bad for Laura, but Laura probably did the same thing to some other guy, and round we go. Before I continue SSM, I need to provide some of my own backstory at this point. While I was in college, I had a difficult relationship with my on-again, off-again girlfriend. She was my first serious relationship, and I made all the stupid blue pill mistakes, every single one of them. Well, most guys do, including me, so don't feel bad about it. Eventually, after 2.5 years of heartache and frustration, I finally ended the relationship, but I was scarred by the experience. I tried dating in the big city, but since I didn't make a 6-figure salary, and I didn't drive a BMW, the ultimate 1980s status symbol, and I didn't wear designer clothes, I was generally ignored by the local female population. Well, you know what? You weren't missing anything, because they were no doubt a bunch of bitches. Several single women don't indicate I was okay as backup, but never at a first choice. Well, you don't want them. Strangely, several married women, most of them young and attractive, told me that if they were single again, I'd be on the top of their list. As one of them put it, I love my husband, but if he were struck by lightning tomorrow, I would snap you up in a heartbeat. And no, I didn't do anything stupid with them. Well, that's good. Either they're saying that to make you feel better, or they're with their husbands because of the money and life they provide, but you be the guy they'd have fun with. Who knows? Well, back to the situation. After a while, Sam invited me to go to his church with him, and I went and saw Sharon for the very first time. She had arrived with Jack in tow. Sharon was pretty, but not beautiful. She had that cute girl next door vibe that a lot of men find attractive. Think a young Holly Hunter. I was neutral towards her, feeling neither attraction nor any dislike. In other words, you were indifferent. We were introduced and got along. Jack and I got along well, but Jack did not like Sam at all. And that SSM is how things were for the next year and 3 months. Sam was with Laura, Sharon was with Jack, and I was in a quasi-friends with benefits situation with my semi-ex-girlfriend. He says, yeah, I know, smack. Well, you had to learn. And deservedly so. What can I say? I was lonely and stupid, always a bad combination. A man should never be lonely and stupid. It's a very bad combination. Now here's where it gets interesting a year and 3 months later. The Sunday before Thanksgiving at church, after the service, Sharon asked me what were my Thanksgiving plans. I told her I was flying Wednesday evening to visit my bro and his family who lived on the West Coast. She asked me if I needed a ride to the airport. I told her no, that I would park my own car at my workplace and then I would take a cab over there. She insisted that it was no trouble for her. How interesting, all of a sudden she's trying to get you in her life and spend time with you. Sounds like she likes you. Sounds like, or she has an agenda. One of the two. At that moment, Sam came by and asked what were we discussing. I told him that Sharon was offering me a ride to the airport. Sam, looking clearly irritated, told me that I should take a taxi and not bother Sharon. Sharon's not bothered. She's offering, dude. Well, something about his attitude really annoyed me greatly, and so I agreed to let Sharon drive me to the airport. So here we go with some issues here. Now, your friend and roommate, Sam, is, kind of being a pain in the ass here. You were just talking, for God's sakes, and she was approaching you, but you were a little annoyed by the way he was acting. But still, he's a friend, and you can see where this is going. And as long as he's a friend, remember, he's still carrying a torch for her. Well, that Wednesday, on the way to the airport, she asked if I wanted her to meet me when I returned and drive me back. Damn, this girl really wants to spend time with you. I was reluctant, but she insisted, so I agreed. The following Sunday evening, she met me at the airport and drove me back to my car. See what happens, guys, when women really like a guy, or they have an agenda, one of the two? They will go out of their way. Right there. I should point out that Sam had moved into the house I was renting the previous summer, making us roommates. When I arrived home, Sam asked me if Sharon had given me a ride, and I told him yes, and then went to bed since I was tired and had to work the next day. I didn't care if he was upset, especially since he was still with Laura. Smack! Doesn't matter. He's your bro. Now, sounds like you're a little irritated with him, how he's acting, but overall, sounds like you guys were still friends, and, this is crossing a line. Yes, they only, dated for 3 weeks, and he carried a torch for her, and he has a girlfriend now, but still, if you have a friendship, you shouldn't, you know what I mean? Let me rephrase it. That's just, you don't break the code. The next day at work, I was thinking about Sharon. I recalled that over the past year, she had made some subtle statements to me that could be interpreted as flirting. I reasoned that if she was volunteering to drive me back to and from the airport, maybe, just maybe, she wanted me to ask her out. Well, that sounds like that to me. She was setting the stage that you ask her out. She didn't want to ask you out out of fear of rejection because they don't like being rejected, but she's setting the stage to make it as obvious as can be that she likes you, so you would pick up on that and ask her out. That's what they do. I wasn't in love with her, but if a pretty girl's indicating that she wants to spend time with me, I didn't want to miss out on what could be the start of a great relationship. Yeah, that's fine if she wasn't a gal who your buddy liked or dated. You do not have your buddy's blessing here, and it sounds like even though you're a little annoyed, Sam's still important to you, so you should have talked to him before you did any of this. So the next day, I called Sharon and asked her to meet me at a neighborhood restaurant that night. She agreed. We met there and had dinner together, then went to a nearby disco. Disco, dude? Okay, Travolta. Remember, this is the 80s, and we did some dancing. Afterwards, I asked her if we could meet again that upcoming Saturday, and she agreed. On Saturday, we went to the park, and we had a nice gazebo. We sat there, and I asked her 3 questions. Question number 1, I asked her what was going on with her relationship with Jack. Well, you should have asked her that prior to even, going out for dinner and disco. That would have been a good question. She said that she and Jack were no longer in a relationship, but that he was still technically living with her until he could get his own place, which was hard to do on his construction worker salary. She had that Jack had a new girlfriend, and he was spending most nights with her. Okay, so is this one of these deals where suddenly she needs to be with somebody else because she can't handle her now ex being with somebody else? And remember, you have to take, this is her word saying this. It can be complete crap. Question number 2. I told her Sam was in love with her and asked her if she had any interest in Sam. She replied that Sam was a good friend, but that she didn't have any romantic feelings for him. Well, obviously she doesn't have that, and you're kind of throwing him under the bus by telling her that he's in love with her. Smack! And she's not the one you should be asking about that. You should be going to your buddy at getting his blessing, which clearly you wouldn't get, and you knew you wouldn't get that, so that ain't cool. And oh yeah, smack! Question 3. I asked her then, what about me? What do you see as happening with us? Her answer was simple, let's just see how things go. Fair enough, I thought, and thus began our casual dating relationship. See? She's like, let's just see how things go. That's actually a good answer. But it's interesting, the timing of all this. And now, how's your relationship going to be with Sam? Not to mention you're living together. Is it worth ruining a friendship over a girl that statistically is not going to work out? No, it's not worth that. But again, this is 40 years ago. It doesn't matter that Sam and her weren't actual relationship, dating for a few weeks, doesn't matter. It was a few weeks, and Sam liked her, and his blessing. Now, SSM, there's more to the story, but before I continue, I need to ask my question now based on what I described so far. Here it is. By dating Sharon, knowing that my roommate had been and still is in love with her, did I break the bro code, or put another way, are there limits or exceptions to the bro code? You did break the bro code. This is I just said that. She wasn't his girlfriend. She wasn't like a girlfriend in the past, or certainly a wife, but he did date her, and he liked her still. He had her first, and he has a thing for her, regardless if he's with Laura, and, you broke it. I know you didn't think it at the time, but then again, maybe you turned a blind eye to that because, as you admitted, when you were young, you were inexperienced, you were lonely, and you said yourself you were stupid. Put all that shit together, you make bad decisions. Bros before the garden hose, bro, even whether she was a garden hose or not. But we'll see how this turns out. Because mind you, I only heard about the bro code very recently. The mantra in the 80s was, all's fair in love and war. Well, I've always disagreed with the whole all's fair in love and war thing because people do some pretty horrific things in war and justify it, and people could do some pretty horrific things in love or the competition for a gal, and I disagree with that too. To quote Paul Harvey, and now here's the rest of my story. Sharon and I dated for 2 months casually. No kissing, no hugging, no hand holding. We were Christians after all. No kissing, no hand holding, no hugging. No, you were friends. That's not a romantic relation. That's friendship. She's stringing you along for a couple of months, not giving you any. I'm sure she didn't mind having you pay for some dinners and all. That ain't a romantic relationship. I know very Christian folks that waited till they, got married or got super serious to get it on. They at least held hands, for heaven's sakes. Then one day in early February, she left a message on my answering machine. I called her back, and after some chit-chat, she asked if Sam was home. Not sure how, but I knew right then and there our developing relationship was over. I told her that he was still at school, but I would leave a message for him. Sam got home 45 minutes later and saw the note. He called Sharon right away. Of course he did. He's a sure thing for Sharon. I could hear his side of the conversation from my room. He essentially set 3 dates with her that week starting that evening. Yes, Sam broke up with Laura soon after that. Good Lord. What about you supposedly dating Sharon? Clearly Sharon doesn't care. And all of a sudden now it sounds to me like Sharon likes to play games. Sharon likes to have lots of guys just rotating him around, playing with him like the way a cat plays with a mouse. How did I feel right then? Not heartbroken so much as a little sad and frustrated and very foolish. Like I'd walked into a private club that I wasn't allowed in and was quickly being shown the exit. Well, you broke the bro code, and that you're getting what you deserve, I mean, you spent 2 months, how many times did you probably pay for dinners or pay for disco or whatever it was you did, and you even get your hand held, for heaven's sake? She was just doing just enough to keep you along. I know you said that, obviously, she was a good person, and obviously you know each other to this day, I believe, but still, I think that's my interpretation was going on. Frankly, that's the karma for breaking the bro code. That weekend, Sharon asked me to go with her to a trendy flea market. Yes, a real place as bizarre as it sounds. While we were there, she explained to me what happened. Now listen to this. This is the biggest bunch of crap ever. Over the holiday break, she went back to her home to be with her family. One day she heard the voice of the Lord, not kidding, instructing her to marry Sam. Not go study with him, not hang out, but to marry him. She asked the Lord for a sign. If you know the story of Gideon from the Bible, the Lord asked Gideon to attack a large army with just a few men. Gideon wanted a sign to be sure. He asked for a clump of wool in the ground to be wet and the ground to stay dry. When that happened, he reversed it to the wool being dry and the ground was wet. Eventually, he was convinced and led his men to a great victory. Likewise, Sharon asked for a miraculous sign. Apparently, she got that sign the previous week. Well, I couldn't argue with the Lord, so I stepped aside and moved on. What a load of crap. That's Bullshit. She's just saying that because you've now converted to Christianity and obviously a lot's in your head. Come on here. She was using that to justify, you know, it cracks me up when people, they're looking for a sign and they'll see the sign they're looking for, and interesting, the sign is telling them to do what they want to do. I could look up the clouds and see the sign of the cross. Oh, there's a sign. I could get mashed potatoes and gravy from Kentucky Fried Chicken. Like, oh, look, there's the Virgin Mary in the mashed potatoes. Well, I got a sign to do what I want. Come on. God's sakes. This girl likes to play games. Well, fast forward to December of that year. Sam and Sharon got married at her family's church. Oh, for God. Hey, let him have her. In his mind, he's like, ha ha, I won, motherfucker. And yes, I went to their wedding. Over the next year, they moved west and I moved east. 10 years after their wedding, both Sam and Sharon came to my wedding along with their 2 daughters. So I suppose there was some symmetry or balance going on there. Well, there you go. Sam got his dream girl and all that. I just hope that she was a good wife to him, but she liked to play a lot of games. Well, anyway, SSM, I often wonder if I missed some sign back then in which I would have avoided dating Sharon in the first place. Regardless, Sam and I have stayed friends. And there you have it, SSM. Any final words, question mark? Are there limits to exceptions to the bro code? Sincerely, an East Coast listener. No, there's no exceptions to the bro code. An ex-girlfriend, a gal who used to date, an ex-wife, a guy, a gal. If your bro likes a gal, that's all under that category. You ask for the blessing, and if they give you the guy gives you a blessing, then okay. Otherwise, no, you don't go there. I'm glad you and Sam are still friends because, you know, it didn't sound like you're best friends, but certainly more than average. But still, wasn't worth it. But you were young, and you should have known better. But I think also you being lonely, unhappy, kind of pushed it along and all that, you know. And Sharon appeared like the low-hanging fruit, chasing after you and pursuing you. But again, the whole not even holding your hand or a hug, you know, and you were supposed to be courting each other. That wasn't just, I think, a religious thing. I think she was doing as little as possible to keep you around while she's figuring things out, which a lot of them do, you know. But anyhow, and as for you saying looking for a sign, you don't need a sign. If you want a sign, fine. Go to Kentucky Fried Chicken, get a bucket of chicken, get mashed potatoes and gravy, and maybe you'll see a sign from Jesus in some of the food, and that'll tell you everything you need to know. Or you can just listen to me and just let it go. But here's the deal. Here's the sign. You've been married 30 years to a woman you said is 95% unicorn. You're happy. I'm guessing maybe you had kids, maybe you have grandkids soon. That seems like a pretty good sign that things worked out okay. But anyhow, sir, I appreciate your writing and your story. Don't mess up with the bro code, guys. Doesn't make a difference how old you are, whether you're in high school or college or 30s, 40s, 50s, or even 80s at the nursing home, and you got all these single people because people are sadly dying off. You don't break the bro code. That's just what I think about that. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.